Hello, everybody. It's Deana at the Realized Foundation, and I have a very special guest today named Marques Ogden. And I can't wait for you to hear more of his Scars to Stars story and what triumph and mindset changes he's had in his journey. And so, Marques, I know I can read your bio, but it's better if I just let you introduce yourself because then people get to hear from you.
So, my name is Marques Ogden. I am from Washington, D.C. I currently now live in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina, about half hour outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, our state's capital. I am a father of two lovely daughters. My oldest daughter is 21. She is a rising junior at NYU. I have a 9-year-old daughter who turns 10 in July. I am recently divorced. I now have really poured myself into the work of helping people understand how to captivate and really reclaim and reconquer their life through mindset training. We do a lot of speaking in that regard. We do speaking on leadership. We do speaking on culture, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. I'm also a podcast host. We have a podcast called Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. You were a guest on our show. We're ranked in the top 0.5% most popular podcast worldwide. And then I'm also a business coach, a consultant, own parts of different companies that align with our brand and who I am as a person. And then at the same time, I'm also a 4-time best-selling author. But I'm also a guy that has lost everything, lost my homes, lost my cars, lost all my money, had to start over from the bottom. And, literally I was a custodian. What's that? Wow, about 10 years ago, making $8.25 an hour. So I've been through so much to get where I'm at today.
Yes,
Yes.
I can relate to the starting over at 40 and at 50. Um,
Mhm.
but I want to take you back to Howard University and say when you were graduating from Howard and you were getting drafted in the NFL and what that was like for you. What was your mindset at that time as far as all this crazy stuff that was happening in your life?
So my mindset when I had determined to go after football full time and finish school, but then focus on football and not look to go get a job on Wall Street in New York, not look to do anything else other than train, school, and try to go and play. I went to an all-star game. I went to the Hula Bowl in Maui, played against some great guys. At that time, the big schools were like Miami, Florida State, Texas. There was a lot of the SEC, big time, ACC schools that were doing great. So I played against guys from Miami, like my good friend Brett Romberg, who actually went to the NFL with me as well. I played against guys like Jordan Black, who went to Notre Dame, went to play for the Chiefs for a while. Played against guys from Rice, Texas, Florida State, you name it. And that experience really helped me to shape that I could do this at a high level. Because when I was at Howard, I really wasn't sure if I had what it took to go and be an NFL athlete. I knew I wanted to, but I didn't know if I could do it. I kind of doubted myself. But once I went to play and I saw I could play against guys from bigger schools, and I could not just play against them, but dominate them in some retrospects, it gave me a lot of confidence. And then I started to really train even harder. I was able to increase my strength. I was able to get faster, be able to be more flexible. And as a result of that, it allowed me to become the first offensive lineman, and still to date, right, Deanna, the only offensive lineman to be drafted from Howard University into the National Football League. And I was drafted by Jack Del Rio and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it was phenomenal to go from Washington, D.C., where I had been my entire life, to hop on a plane, fly down to Jacksonville and have to start my life over. Of course, I had a lot of great resources, but I had to like get an apartment for the first time. I had to buy a car for the first time. I had to, learn how to call a gas company, learn how to, all these things. And it was great. But at the end of the day, I had to develop that unbreakable mindset. And going to the Hula Bowl allowed me to do just that.
Awesome. That's a great story. So if we fast forward to when you were retiring from the NFL and starting a business, I want to talk about the mindset around that.
Really difficult when I left the NFL. I didn't have any type of thought around what was next. I got hooked on painkillers, nightlife, women, gambling, alcohol, abused my body. I lost my dad not that long after. So I'm not that long before. So my dad died in 2006. So that was hard and that was difficult and that was arduous. So I really was in a dark abyss for about 6 months. Finally, I remember my brother coming over to my home and saying, "Okay, Marcus, we gotta get up. We gotta get moving." It was actually Thanksgiving. I didn't want to go to Thanksgiving, but I went because my brother came and pulled me out, and we went and things like that, and it started to get me a little bit of life back, going in like how I was feeling. And then I realized, wow, if I keep doing this, all the scars that our dad went through to give us a better life, I'm going to be destroying his legacy because one of his only two sons is not doing what he should be doing. So I made a decision to get my life back on track, started Caden Premier Enterprises, and we were literally the smallest of small concrete contractors when we started out. And then after about a year and a half, we then got into earthwork, site work, grading, utilities, stormwater sewer, sediment and erosion control, demolition, and we became the largest African American owned subcontracting company in the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland for 2 years. But unfortunately, as the company grew, my wanted to stick my chest out, wanted to have like I have a Superman tattoo on my chest now. It's like an O. And literally I did it. I wanted to show love to my family, but I really felt at that time, 2011, 2012, that I could just open up a shirt, you would just see Superman, I could fly anywhere. And what happened really, Deana, is that the biggest scar in my life happened when I became a star. How about that? When I won the 2011 Minority Contract of the Year Award, that was a star opportunity, and it became my biggest scar because I came all around about just me. I don't know why, but the light just said, boop, be selfish, Marcus. Be arrogant, Marcus. Have an ego, Marcus. Don't treat people good, Marcus. And I just fell into that. I went back to that same abyss after losing my dad and everything else, football, all that. So really, it took me almost 5.5 years to build Caden. It took me less than 3 months to lose the company, all of our money, all my money. My home was being foreclosed on. When I moved to Raleigh, in the same day, both cars were repossessed. I had $400 to my name. I was almost homeless. But thank goodness the NFL Trust was just formed at that time through the Player Care Foundation. The Player Care Foundation, the NFLPA, Retired Players Foundation, they had a new program called the Gene Upshaw Trust Fund. And I applied for a grant and I was approved. So 4 months of my bills got paid. I think it was around $15,000 back in 2013. It was about $2,000 a month, so about $8,000 for my rent, all include for 4 months. Car payment, health insurance, light, gas, all that. They never gave me the money. They only paid the people that was old, like the service providers directly, wasn't given to me. And because of that, I didn't go homeless, but I was fired from 2 jobs in the same week. And then after doing that, I couldn't find another job. Started doing some entrepreneurship, some football coaching. But my biggest scar came when I finally hit rock bottom in 2013 when I was working as a custodian and I had what I call my spoiled milk moment. At that moment, that's when that scar allowed me to say, okay, Marcus, you got to turn this scar into a star. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting right here with your head in your hand, crying for the rest of your life. Always saying what I could have been, not what I am and what I can be tomorrow.
True. And you have an acronym for ego. I want you to tell everybody what that is.
Acronym is exaggerated, glorified opinions. I constantly lied about how good I really was in construction. I was chasing glory every day, all day. Name in the paper. Me. Marcus, Marcus, Marcus. It was never about anybody else. It was only about me and what I wanted and what I felt and what I needed to have done right then and there. So it was really so bad how much I had to fill my soul with things that didn't really matter. And then opinions. I constantly had to have the last word. Marcus, let's try this. Nah, let's go that way. Marcus, let's turn left. Nah, let's go right. And I was constantly doing that. So in reality, it became a very difficult situation. And, I've learned now in life, in business, gratitude is the biggest crusher of ego.
That is very true. I think when you have built a successful business, and I've done that too, and you are, hitting big numbers and you are winning awards as a business owner, it's really easy to think that you know best about everything, right?
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. If you want to be successful, you got to know what it is that you need to do to get there. But understand this, just because you're successful, just because you make a bunch of money, just because people know you, just because you have a podcast or speak or we're an athlete or whatever the case may be, it doesn't make you better than anybody else. And you are just another person, just have more fame, right? Or have more money, right? But at the same time, money doesn't solve everything, right? Solves a lot, but doesn't solve everything. And again, I know tons of rich people who got divorced, tons, right? So again, understand what you want to do in life, but the same token, okay, understand that it's life, right? So appreciate it, be grateful, be humble. That's my opinion, my advice to anybody that's listening.
Yeah. And so after you went through your divorce and you were working as a custodian and you were trying to figure out the next thing, what was going through your mind through that of how to get out of that situation?
So I struggled for the first, so basically, I found some things out July 19th in my marriage, 2022. Filed for divorce July 26th, 2022. Unfortunately, Deanna, I had to stay in the same house with her from July 2022, July 19th, 2022, until November 1st, 2022. And that was hell on earth because Imagine being in a house with someone that you know that you're leaving, and you know that they really don't want it. They may say they do, but they know they really don't. And how you have to move and you have to be in order to make sure that she stays calm, you stay calm. It was really hard because at any moment the cops could have been called, and I'm 6'5.5", 6'6" African American. My ex-wife is Caucasian, 5'9". It could have been a problem. And my lawyer said, Marcus, just don't do anything to make her upset. And I had to walk on eggshells for 4.5 months. Went to our first mediation, had a temporary agreement in place. I could then leave the home. I had 2 weeks to get out. I found a broken down, dilapidated, outdated furniture apartment that I moved into. Every day, I didn't want to be there. I drank constantly. I was going out with a bunch of women constantly. I was finding ways to never go home in my apartment constantly. I was just not wanting to be there. There was no light in that apartment. It was dark. It was depressing. It was everything you could think of bad. Finally, from November 1st, 2022 to about January 15th, Deanna, I cried myself to sleep every night. Scars. Why me? What happened? How did I get here? I didn't want this. I didn't plan this. What's going on? I'm a failure like my dad was. He got divorced. Now I'm getting divorced. Dot, 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 dot. Finally, I told myself around January 15th, Marcus, if you don't stop this, you're going to be in the same apartment maybe forever, because you're not doing anything. You're not moving to turn your scar into a star. So I sat down, I did the 4 V's. I visualized, I vocalized, I voted, and I ventured to find victory. Visualize. I visualized what I wanted for myself, and it wasn't about feeling sorry for myself. It wasn't about poor Marcus. Marcus is a failure. I said, Marcus wants a brand new home by November 1st, 2023. Gave myself a back date up to a year. I want to be out of this place by November 1st, 2023. That's what I visualized. I know what it looked like or where, absolutely not. No idea. But that's what I wanted. I then vocalized. I stopped telling myself how bad I was, how horrible I was, how I was a failure. And I said, you are good enough. You are smart enough. You are hardworking enough. You do deserve better. And that flipped the switch. Voted every day, shot a podcast, listened to a podcast, went on a podcast, listened to a book, talk to somebody, email somebody, try to have a sales call, try to close a deal. And I just told one of my clients this, young lady named Juliet from Toronto, Canada, lives now outside of Milan, Italy. She's getting married next year. Great young lady. I said, Juliet, you're struggling right now because you're trying to do too much every single day. I had a call, right, Deanna, with our awesome CRM company, right? CRM Done Better, Rebecca Cowles. Best platform I've ever been on. Sweet. It's amazing. Rebecca and I and her new COO went through a call to start working on different things. Now we're looking to integrate my calendar from my phone to Gmail to my other through Microsoft Outlook. I'm using the contacts better. That's my one thing for the day. Now, if I do more, great. But my one thing for today was to have a positive, impactful conversation with Rebecca and her COO to start moving towards having a better CRM that can make everything much more cohesive. So I tell people, if you're listening, it's all about voting. Do one thing every single day. Do one, right? And for example, I was watching a movie. This was my one, Heart Condition, with Denzel Washington and Bob Hoskins. And Denzel told Bob in the movie that in order to be successful, there's always a price. Bob Hoskins said in the movie, well, man, do you know how much it costs to develop this film? And then Denzel said back to Bob, it costs to go to art school. It costs to be a lawyer, because he was a lawyer in the movie. It costs to be a detective. Bob was a cop in the movie. And he told Bob, some of us are willing to pay the price. You have to pay the price for what you want in life, and nothing is free. And then venture. I started to go out and find people like you who I'm like, yes, Deana is positive, very inspirational, right? All these things. And I ventured out to find a new tribe, and I created Victory. I bought my dream home May 15th of last year, 6 months ahead of schedule. I bought my dream car about a month ago, right? I'm working every day towards bettering myself. Again, right? This podcast is another thing. So CRM was one, this awesome podcast was two. So I've done two things today. So it's always voting. So again, right then, I visualized, vocalized, voted, and vicinity. I'm sorry, visualized, vocalized, voted, and I ventured out. When I did those 4 V's, visualize, vocalize, vote, and ventured out, it created Victory. And that's how I live my life now.
That's awesome. I do want to point out, though, when you were in that apartment where you said you cried every night, sometimes when people are in that place, one thing could be brushing their teeth or taking a shower. Like sometimes people are in a dark place like that, especially in our community where we're talking about mental health and suicide prevention. And when you're in that dark place, you're not necessarily going, not necessarily at suicidal ideation, but you're, I don't know what that feedback is. Um, got it. Um, so I just want to reflect that through all the conversation we've had, you've had a lot of different mindsets, and some of it's really exciting, and some of it's really egotistical, as you pointed out, and some of it was very depressing in a way, or in a place where you weren't happy. And so I think that the journey of all of us in our life, we have these ups and downs, and we have to have those tools like you've created for yourself with the 4 V's and the ego acronym and these things, how you have lifted yourself up out of those times that were a struggle. And I think that is imperative for all of us to be able to understand how to do that when we are going through a hard time. So thank you for sharing all of it, because I know your podcast is Get Authentic. I know you're real and you talk about the hard stuff. And so thank you for doing that. So now can we talk now about what you're doing now, and how that shifted when you're helping other people find these how to move themselves forward in whatever they're doing.
So I took notes on that you said about how hard life is. I'm actually going to bring that up when I interview next week, because that's a true fact, right? It is hard, right? It's not easy to go from where I was living November until May of 2023 to where I'm at now. I mean, I love my home, right? I have probably 8 windows downstairs. I've got 8, 12, 13. I probably got about 20 to 25 windows of light in my house. I had 2 in the apartment. So it's not easy. But if you can find the right mindset to always believe in you, you can achieve what you want. And to answer your question, we are now doing inspirational keynote speaking nationally, internationally. We've worked for over 60 Fortune 500 clients in the last 8 years, companies like Home Depot, to Equitable, to Intel, Siemens, Mutual of Omaha, just name a few. We do business coaching, mindset coaching, how to become a keynote speaker coaching, executive coaching, how to build or launch a podcast, and this overall mindset coaching. We are a consultant where we work for organizations to help them on a monthly basis. We do some brand ambassador work. We also have our podcast, as you've been on a guest. We have sponsors. I own part of different businesses that align with our brand, like a company called Agogi, Grind Oral Care, all those factors. And at the same time, I'm also a 4-time best-selling author that shares his experiences in books like Sleepless Nights to The Success Cycle. I've co-authored 2 other books, Pivots, Persistence, and Game Changers, Leadership Volume 4. So we're a 4-time best-selling author, but I'm also a guy, right, Deana, that knows where he came from. Came from Washington, D.C. I'm a guy that's made a lot of money. I'm a guy that's lost it all. I'm a guy that has been at the top. I'm a guy that's been at the bottom trying to claw and scratch his way out of the barrel. So that's me, but I really enjoy helping people succeed. And our mantra with our brand is we love to help our clients succeed and have fulfillment in their life where we failed. And I tell our clients and our prospective clients, hire me so you don't end up failing and having to go through all that like I did. Nothing wrong with failure. We all have to go through it. Denzel had a great quote in his commencement speech. If you haven't failed, you haven't tried hard enough. But there's degrees of failure. I tell my clients, I don't want anybody having to file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, lose their home, lose their cars. I don't want that for anybody. Do you need to maybe learn a lesson or 2 in business? Yeah, sure. That's going to make you better. Great. But I never want someone to go through a catastrophic failure like I did and having to start all over when I got to Raleigh, when I had $400 to my name, right, Deana? And I had to start completely over from the bottom.
Yeah, I can relate. But the last thing I want to ask you is, in your bio, you talk about when you speak that you talk about authenticity creates victory. And I want to end with your comments about that.
So we have a keynote that's called Authenticity Creates Victory. And the real essence of that keynote, of that whole part of our brand, vulnerability creates connectivity. Like you said, right, Deana, you heard what I've gone through, the ups and downs and the crying nights and the feeling horrible and feel like a failure. I mean, I all these things I have gone through all day, every day. And so what we believe in our brand is the more vulnerable you are in a very, of course, educational teaching way, it connects you more with people. And when people connect with you, they want to engage you, they want to buy from you, they want to be around you. So all of that is what we believe. So authenticity creates victory is when you're real with people and you're active listening and you're truly sharing and you're helping people get through challenging times. That's what we believe at our brand. It's about being authentic. And the more authentic you are, the more you're going to be winning in life. But it starts with the ability to always understand that what you do always comes to shine through, especially when you're sharing hard times to help people who are struggling in their own rights. A lot of people have gone through hard times, all of us, but very few, unfortunately, share what happened and how to get out of it. So to me, that's what authenticity creates victory is all about. Sharing and being vulnerable to connect with people to help them overcome challenges and or obstacles in their own life.
That's true. And I love that. And I think it's true in all facets of life. And I know we're talking more about business, but I think in our mission is the same thing, but on a personal side of mental health and how how us being vulnerable to share our stories can save lives. Because if you're listening to this and you don't know, I hid a suicide attempt for 23 years. And if I could have picked up a book or listened to a podcast and connected to someone else that was a suicide survivor, I probably would have talked about it a lot sooner. And so I think what you're saying is what I believe too. It's like the more real we can be, the more other people think it's okay to be their real self. And when they don't feel like it's okay, like I did for so long, you don't get the help you don't or the support that you need. And so it's what Scars to Stars is all about.
It's yeah, if people don't hear others talking about overcoming challenges and or obstacles, they keep it balled up, pinned up inside. And unfortunately, that's when the suicides and all these horrible things happen. I tell everybody, suicide, you don't get a do-over. And I've been there. I've been suicidal and tried to drink myself to death after my father died, and I was in a really bad place, suicidal through the separation, moving out, that first Thanksgiving, that first Christmas. Is this worth it? Do I need to keep going? Am I going to be able to rebound? I mean, I talked like all these different scenarios out. And now that I'm on the other side, I tell people I've been there. I know what it's like. I've been an addict. I've been hooked on alcohol and nightlife and all these things many times. But now, if you are struggling, just go and get some help. And that's a sign of strength. And when people hear that, right, Deanna, it moves them towards a brighter tomorrow.
It's very true. Well, if anybody wants to find Marcus, his website is up. It's marquesogden.com. And he also has a new app, a Play Store, under his name, if you want to look that up. And Marcus, I really appreciate you being here today and helping us get a message out for the Realize Foundation and for our community of people who are learning to overcome their own adversity. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. You were fantastic. Thanks so much, Deanna.